Quilter's newsletter, Machine Quilting Tips and Techniques, is brought to you by Bernina, Made to Create, and Benartex, Fabric for Quilters by Quilters.
Hi, I'm Connie Fanders, and this is Quilter's newsletter, Machine Quilting Tips and Techniques with Bernina. And today we're going to talk about stitching corners. Sometimes as a quilter, you want to do projects such as pillows that have corners to them. And so there's some techniques that I'm going to show you today to make perfect corners on all projects, including pillows. So to begin with, I'm going to take a smaller version of a pillow, and I'm going to go to my sewing machine. And when we are doing corners, we have to pivot. And to pivot, it is helpful to put your needle in the stop down position. So whenever I stop, the machine is going to stop with the needle down. Now we're ready to sew our pillow and pivot at the corners. And for a pillow or home deck items, I will use a 1/2 inch seam allowance as opposed to the 1/4 inch seam allowance that you typically use in your quilts. And so I'm going to line up the edge of my fabric on the 1/2 inch mark of my stitch plate, and I'm going to begin to sew. I'm going to sew till I reach my corner and my needle stop down, so all I need to do is raise my presser foot, pivot the fabric, lower my foot, and continue to sew. So you can see it is very easy to sew a nice square corner. Now whenever you stitch a corner, you do want to trim that corner off at an angle so that when you do flip it, you have eliminated the bulk in that corner. Then you turn it and press and you would have a very nice corner. Now I'm going to show you how to do a corner on a pillow. Because on a pillow, if we were to stitch to this corner here, it'd be very difficult to turn that and get a nice sharp corner. So what we're going to do is we are going to taper in and stitch to a point about 1/4 inch from where our stitching normally would be. And what I have done is I have measured 10 inches here, so I've put a pin at 5 inches and then again at 2.5. And so what I'm going to start doing is as I get to this mark here, I'm going to start tapering in to the 1/4 inch point. I'm going to pivot and then come out again to my 1/2 inch line. So now we are ready to sew our seam. And so I'm going to begin stitching. And again, with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'm going to take my pins out as I come to them because you do not want to sew over pins. And now as I reach the pin here is where I'm going to start tapering in. And then I stop with my needle down and I'm going to pivot and then continue to sew and stitch out to where my pin is, again removing it before I stitch over it, and then continue on down my seam. Okay, we have now completed our seams and we have our corners stitched for the pillow. Now, unlike the corner I just showed you, we are not going to trim that corner off. We want to leave that in there so then as we flip this corner, that helps to fill in this corner nicely. And so that prevents you from having the dog ears on your pillow corners. So that completes how to do corners on pillows successfully. Join us for the next segment when we talk about piping and how to make nice piping for all of your pillow projects.
Quilter's newsletter Machine Quilting Tips and Techniques is brought to you by Bernina, Made to Create, and Benartex, Fabric for Quilters by Quilters.